Welcome into the Cam and Strick podcast, episode number 6. We're back at the normal brand. Great to be here as always. Matthew Barnaby on this edition of the pod, Cam. He's hilarious, awesome. A little bit crazy.
Crazy.
Did you think he was a psycho back in the day when you were growing up watching him?
Yeah, I loved it.
So if you think he's a psycho and he plays like a psycho, does that mean he is psycho?
No, we all have a little nuttiness in us, and he definitely does, and he admitted it too. And he had that Joker smile to him. He waved the linesman off. That's where I got that from. It was Matthew Barnaby doing it in the 90s. And God, he's fucking entertaining, man, is what he is.
No, he's really entertaining. Does a great job in everything else he does also. But can you do what you guys did for a living without having something a little bit, I don't want to say loose, because I don't want to be disrespectful.
Well, I appreciate that.
But you maybe have something loose.
Probably
upstairs.
right.
But, I mean, you got to be a little bit psycho. You got to be a little bit crazy
you gotta turn crazy.
Fight every day, right?
Yeah, you got to turn, like, it's not an easy thing to do when you know the guy's trying to kill you and he's bigger than you and he's got all the advantages and you just got to go in there and you got to suck it up and do it. So it does make you become crazy.
Yeah, he's really honest. You don't see too many guys
Very
call
honest.
out former superstar players,
I know.
giving their honest opinion of certain guys and whatever. But when you do that, you know you probably have some support from some other players you played with as well, who probably felt the same way. So this is a really good interview. Really enjoyed talking with Matthew Barnaby. I knew it would be good, but it was probably even better than I thought. Have a listen.
Loved watching you play, Barney. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys this morning?
Doing well. Barney, I guess we'll first start off with, you're crazy. You watching you growing up in the 90s, doing your thing, waving off the refs. Where do you think I got it from? I got it from you, big boy. Loved watching you play.
I don't know if we go with crazy or stupid, one or the other, maybe a combination of the two. But yeah, I just at my size when I came up, Cam, the guys that we had to fight were certainly a lot bigger than we were. And if the fight didn't go over 30 seconds, I had no chance of even landing a punch. So you did it because you got to inflict a little bit more pain than I did. But at least it gave me a fighting chance in those fights.
You were very, very entertaining, an entertainer. And I remember one time you're late in your career. You're playing in Dallas. I was a young kid. And I knew you were a wily veteran. I grew up watching you play, and I was in a corner with you, and I wanted fucking somebody that night. And I remember after a scrum, I'd grab you and go, let's fucking go. And you look at me, and you look dead in my eyes, you go, I can't. Not that I won't, not fuck off, you punk, none of that. No, I can't, meaning I'm a 15-year vet, my hand's probably broke, my shoulder's beat up, and you looked at me and said, and I go, oh, okay. On with your day. On with your day. I gave you a lot of respect there, Barney, because you're a wily veteran, of course.
Thank you. I keep, with what we did, never know what ailment we were dealing with. And I was certainly on the thing because I did it so many times, as did you. A younger guy comes up, you feel like you are obliged to fight because that's how you got your chance and you never wanted to not give a guy a chance. It's funny, one time I know a guy, Kevin Adams, who when he was coming up, not many knew of him. He was a college kid and he was playing in Columbus and it was training camp. And he goes, Barney, can we fight? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. He goes, but just don't throw punches. Like, make it look good, just so I look good in front of the coach. I was like, Kevin, if I don't beat the fucking shit out of you, I'm the one that's going to get fucking sent to the mines. He's like, okay, let's not fight.
I love it.
Did you like fighting? I mean, listen, I've heard you talk about your draft report where, if you got beat up twice in the game, that means you had a good game and that means you play well. I mean, could you control yourself, Barney? Because you had some pretty good skill. You put up good numbers in a younger age. Could you just go out there and play, or did you have to get involved in some of that other stuff?
You know what? I enjoy it. Got me into the game, to tell you the truth. If I wasn't being an agitator, not necessarily the fighting part, but if I wasn't agitating and getting under people's skin, then I didn't feel like I was truly emotionally or vested into the game. So that made me who I was as a player. It gave me at least an identity. Did I like fighting? I liked fighting when I got to choose when I was going to fight. Guys roughly in my weight category, my size. Certainly some nights when you're down and there's a 5-on-5 going on and the crowd's getting into it. Like it's fun because, it's always the scorers, the goaltender, and the tough guys that are popular. And everyone likes, to be told they're great or whatever it may be when they're coming up or appreciated. So, but the tough ones were when I got traded to Tampa and Pittsburgh. when I wasn't surrounded with guys like Brad May and Rob Ray, and when I went to Colorado, obviously I was surrounded with, the Jim Cummins of the world and Peter Worrell. So when I got to fight in my category and I got to choose, I did like it. But when it was expected every night and the Cam Janssens were coming in, the Tony Twists and the Bob Proberts, and you knew that you were going to have to fight, that was, that in the famous words of Borat, not so nice.
I like how you put me in there with Twister and fucking...
Who doesn't belong? By the way, Cam read your Wikipedia page, he said this morning, so this should be a good interview. He's got all the information he needs, by the way.
I don't like when people read my Wikipedia page. I'm not going to lie to you.
I've never read my Wikipedia, but I can only imagine what's on there. My girlfriend's shaking her head going, oh, this could go any which way right now.
I'm with you there, buddy. Trust me.
No, but you know what? Listen, you would have been the perfect St. Louis Blue. Like, the fans would have absolutely loved you here. And, you think about some of the guys who played your role over the years and how popular they were. It's kind of what you just said. They were always the most popular players along with the goal scorers and the goaltenders. So you kind of had to love it from that standpoint, the fact that the fans loved you. And I think you went out there and probably entertained a lot of that because of that, don't you think?
After watching you and Hully and Chaser – after these Stanley Cup parties, I would have fit right in. You guys looked like you had an awesome time this summer, still recovering. But I think St. Louis probably has the best alumni in the NHL. Guys that retire want to stay there. They're such a big part of the community. So, it's something that I love to stay involved with. I think I would have fit in St. Louis because I think they're one of those markets that are really smart hockey people. They understand the game. We've seen, and I've coached against the Jeff Browns who had Clayton Kellers and the Logan Browns, the next kids that are going to take that step in the National Hockey League and carry the tradition of St. Louis hockey forward. But it's right up my alley. When anytime we go to the events, it seems like I'm always hanging out with the St. Louis guys after hours anyways.
So playing in the 90s and playing in Buffalo when it was a wild, wild west of the 90s and you guys had three guys, did you get along with Razor and Brad May? I know you helped out with fights because if your hand was banged up, they're going to take over and shit like that, but you're still competing. And sometimes, you're competing for that second or third line slot or something like that, and having a couple of tough guys, playing your role on the team. You guys have that competitive edge with each other, or just kind of fuck it, we're all buddies?
You know what? When I first came, I'd say Brad May, like Rob came in first. So when Brad May came in, he was a first rounder, and he came in, and I think him and Razor had it, had at it a little bit and got their fights out of the way. And Rob realized Brad was there, more to play on in a top six role when he was first drafted, and it kind of slid down as his career went along. But I think having two guys, it was easier for Rob on a lot of nights back then. And then when I came in with a nickname Killer. I don't know why, but it should have been Getting Killed. And I think Razor sees, I was 165 pounds when I was drafted in my first training camp. And, we had it out. We fought 3 or 4 times in the first training camp. And once I was on the team, we all really helped each other out. I think we alleviated a lot of the stress for the other guy on nights that maybe they didn't feel good. But certain nights we'd go in and, I got him in the first period, you got him in the second, you got him in the third. Yeah. Like it was some certainly some fun nights. But once we were teammates, there was, there's the internal competition to play more minutes, and you always want to play more. I think Rob understood his role a little bit, wasn't looking to play 12 to 15 minutes where Brad and I were, but there's internal pressure all the time just to be in the lineup and then contribute. So we were just really good teammates, I think, for a lot of years.
Did you get along with your coaches?
Not all of them. I love Teddy Nolan. I thought he was just a great human being. And then we got rid of Teddy after being coach of the year. And there was just so much inside politics with our general manager, Muckler, who I also liked because he drafted me. But there was so many internal fights within the organization that it was really a debacle. It was not a fun thing to be around, and we had great guys. And Lindy Ruff comes in. I probably was a little immature at the time and didn't understand the business side, was also a little resentful because the coach that I was loyal to was now gone, and a guy was coming in. So I really didn't give Lindy a fair chance. So that's Buffalo. I hated Kevin Constantine. He was a douchebag of a coach, and as a person, just treated people like shit. John Tortorella I played for, and I didn't like him at the rink, but away from the rink, he's the nicest guy you could ever meet. So Best coach I've ever had is Dave Tippett. Just phenomenal in his approach to the game, the way he treats people, what he expects. Just an awesome coach, and Edmonton is very lucky to have him.
Yeah, you would love. I mean, if you were back as a player, just seeing how Craig Berube, interacts with his players, man. I mean, it's really unbelievable to see guys who played the game and played for a long time. And listen, Matthew, I never played in the National Hockey League, but I think there is a value.
You act like you do sometimes, Andy. Like, fuck, let's be honest.
Hey, but there's a value to a guy who I think did play, just in terms of watching the interaction and the respect his players have for him, and just understanding the day-to-day grind and everything that comes with being an NHLer. I mean, you just mentioned some of those guys. Not all those guys played in the National Hockey League. Is there value to that as a player?
It's funny you say that, because my girlfriend asked me that question the other day. Like, if you have a coach that didn't play, do you have the respect? And I was like, you know what? If he's a good coach, yeah, I do. I think that sometimes during a long season, you talk about the grind, that he might understand what you're going through on some days. Not only, the physical aspect of playing, but the mental aspect of the playing, and just everything that goes along with the pressures of playing in the National Hockey League. So I think there is that added respect you have, and then you take a guy that worked as hard as Craig and did over his career and never cheated the game, and the work that goes into what he has every day. And the one thing I can say about him, and knowing him just over the years, as I'm sure you guys could speak to, is his honesty. He's brutally honest.
Yep.
And I think as players, it's not always going to go the way you want, but when a coach is honest with you and upfront and doesn't go behind your back and there's no guessing games, it's a lot easier. And I think he has all those attributes, and we saw that last year. Obviously, guys rallying and no quit attitude. It's an amazing story that they had last year, but I think it starts at the top. It certainly starts with Doug Armstrong and then Craig Berube.
Do you ever fight him?
I did, yes.
I'm talking about Doug Armstrong. No, you fight Chief?
I fought him once in the playoffs, and it's kind of the YouTube looks great. It looks awesome. We're in a 5-on-5 brawl in Philly in the playoffs, and I'm playing for Pittsburgh, and I square off with him. I'm like, oh God. Fuck, this could go any which way.
Here comes a headache.
I'm looking for where the refs are and how close they can get in. Usually you want to shake them off when you know there's refs there. You don't want to shake them off when they're dealing with 3 other fights and you're fighting Chief. So, but we end up fighting, wrestling a little bit, a couple punches here and there. He's wanting to rip my fucking head off.
Oh God!
And I'm kind of looking away at like the other fights while I'm fighting with him, because I've got a pretty good seatbelt on his arm where he can't get a great punch. And then out of nowhere, I throw like a powder puff left, and I fall on top of him. So it looks
you got
awesome.
Lucky. You got lucky.
It looks like I knock him out, like I knock him down, and he's going fucking wild. And then he just kept on asking me to fight after. I was like, no, I got the belt now. Never getting it again. So it looks a lot better. But yeah, certainly a lot of respect for the Chief.
I listen to you all the time, you and Cooley, on the radio now. And you do talk about playing with Dominik Hasek and how he's not going to come to your kid's birthday party anytime soon. And I know he's one of the best goalies ever, and he's fantastic, and he helped you guys win. But is he kind of I can see him being kind of a fucking weirdo a little bit, just like maybe his personality wasn't there. Why don't you two get along?
You know what? I didn't like the way he treated people for the most part. I think we're very lucky to do what we do, and should be appreciate. I know certainly I don't have anything if it wasn't for hockey, and I'm very, very fortunate. I just thought at times that he wasn't a great guy from what I saw, and I can what I think of him as a hockey player when I say I fucking don't like the guy, and those days are long over. Maybe he's changed,
yeah.
But I can still say, even though I hated him when I played with him, that he is by far, in my opinion, and this is no slight to the Patty Waz and the Marty Brodeurs, Dominik Hasek is the best goaltender of all time, and I don't think it's close. What he did with our team, I think he won 6 Vezinas, but what he did with our team was incredible, because we were a team that worked really, really hard, average talent, and the fucking best goaltender in the world, and he certainly is that.
Stand on his fucking head, crazy saves, like he was
Gumby,
like just crazy shit. that you're not supposed to do, and he does it.
No. Okay. I mean, he was unbelievable.
Too bad he's a dick.
But yeah, I mean, listen, not everybody's going to get along, right? I mean, I'm glad you're honest about it.
Yeah.
Hey, the best was when he invited me. His agent sent me a email for his Hall of Fame induction, asking if I wanted to take part in it. And I just wrote back to Rich Winter. I think that was his agent. Yeah. I was like, Rich, you know I hate him, right? Like, why am I getting an invite? And that was it. I didn't get another invite.
Probably for the best.
Yes, I'm good. I'll attend the Pat LaFontaine one and the Eric Lindross one. Those are good guys.
Well, you played with some big dogs, superstars. Wait, first up, before I even get into that, like the way you played, I mean, you had to be hated by opposing players who you went up against multiple times every single year. But you bounced around a little bit towards the end of your career. You played with several different teams, so you played with hundreds of players around the NHL. Did anybody ever have an issue with you when you first showed up in the dressing room, Matthew? What was that like? And were you ever uneasy about meeting somebody that you knew you had a run-in with before?
I never did. I think the most awkward one was probably when I went to New York, and then Eric Lindross, like we said some nasty shit, and I went deep with his family when I was on the ice and I was relentless. So I think that was the most awkward. But anyone that knows hockey guys, like you get in a fight, I'm going to have a beer with you, after the game. I understand that the guy on the other team that does the same job as I am is trying to do the exact same thing for his team that I am for mine. And, guys that have been traded over the years, they've come in. It seems like guys you've battled the most with end up being your best friends, and it's who you have the most beers with and the most fucking laughs after games. So, no, I never had that one. Eric was awkward because then we became roommates, and then we were roommates for 3 years, and he was great. I guess Tyler Wright the one time had bit my finger about a week before, and I showed up in the room, and he just started. He ran over and gave me a hug, and I'd never met him. And he goes, "Hey, sorry for that bite." I was just like, I hope you got your rabies shots. That's all I cared about back in the day. A little penicillin could have went a long way.
Oh yeah, those Z-Packs. Oh, I know about those. Barney, a couple other things about you play with some big dog players. Actually, real quick, you say that you were roommates with Eric Lindross. Isn't that weird that you had to share a room that late in your career with guys that are making millions of dollars? Like, isn't that fucked up how you still had to have a roommate? I think it was, 600 games before you got your own room then?
Yeah, it was 600. But I think, was it in the 04 lockout that was in the
Is that what it is? Okay, so okay.
Yeah, because I was with Eric 01 through 04. And obviously, I think it came in that CB.
I think it was the next one, 12-13, when they said, "Hey, anybody not on an entry level
deal." Think about how horrible you're sharing a fucking room with a 35-year-old guy.
Only players on rookie deals.
Yeah, and he's a big ass man. When he has too many cocktails, he likes to wrestle. You never end up on the right end of that. And then he was like, when we went to Dallas, he's like, "Hey, you want to be roommate?" I was like, No, I got my own fucking room now. But it used to be the best being with Eric because, he's a proud guy. He's if you're going to build a hockey player from scratch, Eric Lindross is probably the guy you're going to build at 6'5", 240, can fly, can fight, can really do it all. But the best was he came in the year before me, but with his injuries, I had like 5 more games than him throughout our whole time in New York. And you guys know the rule. Whoever has more games, doesn't have to get up to get the door, gets the remote. Yeah. So we'd pull into wherever, St. Louis, San Jose, and I'd be like, "Bitch, give me that remote.
Give me that thing.
It's mine."
I earned it.
I love it.
I earned it.
Fucking right.
Was Dominik the only superstar who you don't feel that who kind of rub you the wrong way a little bit? Any other superstars that kind of bothered you?
Nope, none. I played with some greats, like you said, and Pat LaFontaine and McGillney, Dale Howard.
Elmo was great. Elmo was a great guy.
Awesome. Mario Lemieux, Yager, and then the Marty St. Louis, Le Cavaliers, Sakic, Forsberg, you name it. Solani, Korea. I mean, I was very New York. Messier was my line mate for 3 years, but all unbelievable guys. Unbelievable guys.
You had a powerhouse team in New York with Berube. I think Yogs came over. You had Kovalev. How was that locker room? I mean, was it like Yogs? I played with Yogs for a year. with the Devils. Lou put him right next to me in the locker room. I sat right next to him, and he would go on and make fun of Dana Zubris and try to pit me involved in the middle. I'm like, no, I like everybody. He was just a loud character. But imagine having about 5 or 6 of those in the locker room. What was that locker room like, man?
Yeah, I played with Yags in Pitt for 3 years, and then New York again. Great guy, funny ass bastard. He was one of my best friends especially when we played with Pittsburgh. The thing with New York I found is we had so many good guys, so many big guys, but they were all at the stage of their career that they weren't in their prime. They were paid like they were in their prime. I mean, our salary cap was probably $90 million back then. And what I found was they were all great guys individually, but there wasn't enough ice to go around. There just wasn't that, and that's the part about building a team the right way. We were a team of essentially all-stars and me, and we you know, when you roll out the first power play, well, one of the big dogs isn't going to be out there, and they're used to it running through them on whatever team it may be. And I just don't think that we ever defined any roles. Everyone was, you know, we just went out and played pond hockey, and if our talent most nights was good enough, and when I say most nights, not nearly enough, and we didn't learn how to grind. We didn't have enough of an identity. So great guys, long-winded, but just in the end, there just wasn't enough ice time for all those guys, and we didn't make the playoffs for 3 straight years.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because when all the Ranger guys came over to St. Louis, Dave Checketts and John Davidson and those guys, they would always talk about those teams in New York, how, hey, listen, they were all highly paid guys, but they didn't play for each other. They were playing for a paycheck. I mean, you think that was fair? Is that a realistic, you know, I guess, way to description of how you guys played?
Very fair assessment. Very, very fair assessment. Like I said, we had older guys that, you know, people complain that kids now, the young guys, get their money, but I'd much rather pay for the future and their prime of their career as opposed to getting paid for what you did in the past. And like I said, they were good guys. We had a couple guys with some issues. You know, Theo at the time, we had Theo Fleury there. He was going through a lot of shit. Now looking back, like, I didn't respect him then for, you know, the shit that he was pulling there, but now I get it, right? Now I totally understand what he was going through and can't imagine what he was going through. But it was a trickle down effect, you know. All the prisoners kind of ran the asylum there, and there was no accountability. I'd say is the biggest thing. There was no accountability from up top. We had like 5 coaches in 3 years, but in the end, we just had too many big guys that weren't in the prime of their careers and that didn't have defined roles.
What about playing with Lemieux? How was he in that locker room? I mean, you couldn't get away with that with 66 running the show, right?
No, he's absolutely unbelievable. He's, you know, as an owner, as a superstar, I don't think, you know, between him and Gretz, you won't find 2 more unassuming, absolute superstars of their sport and country. You know, those guys walk down the street, everyone knows who they are, but a tremendous person, tremendous leader. One of the greatest things I ever saw was him coming back after not playing for 2 years. That first game against Toronto, I think he just threw up a little 4 spot after not
no
playing
big deal,
for 4 years. It was funny because the week before he was coming back, and I was suspended for that game, so I was in the stands watching the game as it unfolded. But about a couple weeks before, when he was just he knew he was getting close to coming back, he's like, "Come on, Barnes, you know, take a run at me, make sure I'm okay." I'm like, fuck that. I'm not taking a run at Mario Lemieux. If something happens, you're not going to hurt him like 99% of the time at 6'4", 245. But that one chance that you knock him off, he gets a concussion or blows his shoulder. I'm like, sorry, Mario, not happening. I'm
not going near you. No way.
Hey, any regrets about your career at all? You know, just in terms of how it went down, how people viewed you. Guys say all the time they don't have any regrets, but I mean, you did have some ability. I mean, you just go back and look at some of your numbers, like I said, but people don't give you enough credit for how good of a player you were because of some of the other antics. Does that bother you at all, Matthew, or no?
Yeah, I mean, the regret, you know, I got to play 15 years. I'm so privileged and so lucky, and still lucky to be a part of the hockey community and fraternity, and I get to stay involved. But with my radio show, a regret isn't not winning the Stanley Cup, because it's not something that I had control over. I worked my ass off. My team's just, you have to be right place, right time. So that's not a regret. And people always say, do you regret not winning? Well, fuck, of course I wish I won a Stanley Cup. I'd be an idiot not to, but it wasn't in the cards. The one thing I do go back to is I think I could have put up a lot more points. Would I have had as long a career? I don't know. Could I have changed the way and instead of fighting 20 times a year, 25 times a year, fight 10 times a year and not always feel like I had to be obliged to fight. And I think I would have, instead of having 300 points, I think I could have probably put up 500 points, somewhere in that range. But in the end, I'm very, very lucky to do what I did for the greatest Shield in the game. So very, very lucky.
Barney, you're right on that. I'm thinking the same way. Instead of getting 16 points, I think I could have had like 25 or 30 at least from a full career. You see me now. I'm a toe dragging machine. He saw me play, Andy. No one believes me how good I am now, Barney, but you saw me firsthand in Winnipeg.
Barney, I always talk about...
I saw 4 goals out of you when you guys were playing the Firefighters and I was up above. You had 4 goals in the first period, Jans. And that's the one thing it's funny because, I do some events with you, obviously, and Chaser has terrible hands, so we're not even going to go to Chaser.
Awful. He doesn't even play anymore.
Just awful. But I play with Brian McGrattan, Chris Neal. I did an event with them last year, and I was like, holy fuck. I realized we all made it, we all have better, but I was impressed with the guys, and people don't realize how good just a guy to get to the NHL is his hands. And I take offense to guys that didn't score a lot of points because to get there it's tough, and to practice every day and play with those guys and compete, it's crazy shit.
No, I said that too. When I first moved back to St. Louis after college and whatever, and you brought up Chaser, but you know what? When he first got out of the game, he was pulling stuff off. I'm like, damn, these guys are so good who made it to the NHL. But I will say, Cam is the only player, I've said this every show, he's the only player I've ever seen who's way better after his career than he was when he was actually playing in the NHL.
Because I'm not thinking about killing people every second.
That's the worst. It's the worst thing. The worst thing is, if your fight didn't happen to the third period, you've been sitting there 2.5 periods. All you're thinking about is fight. You're not thinking about that little black puck.
No, we know what it is.
Donald Brashear or George Larocque's chasing you around. God. It's in the fucking. The best thing about retiring is being able to sleep in the afternoons now. It's the best. I don't sweat. I don't perspire for an hour and a half in bed.
God.
No.
Just thinking.
One thing you say all the time, Matthew, and I say it to myself because the media just flips out when they see some of these goals that are scored in the NHL today. And thank you for saying this all the time where you say, hey, listen, every 12, 13-year-old in the world, not in the world, but anybody who's playing at a decent level is doing these moves all the time. I coach AAA hockey, have been for 20 years, been around the game at that level here in St. Louis for years. These kids have been doing this since they were 8, 9, 10 years of age. Now, doing what Matthew Tkachuk did, scoring that goal from the slot on a one-touch, I don't think they're all doing that. But some of the other stuff people freak out about, they don't realize just how skilled these young guys are.
Oh, it's off the charts. And where our generation, us 3 guys, we watched games. And, we'd watch the 8 o'clock game, the 7 o'clock game. Then we watched the 10:30 game late night. We'd tape games. These kids, to me, don't watch as many games.
No.
But they are on YouTube and pulling up clips of guys in Sweden and Finland and Russia and guys that are here and all the videos that are made, and they're emulating them. They go out, whether it's outdoors, you see them in lineups, they're all picking pucks up. They're all picking up. They're all doing certain things every single day. So the skill level is off the charts. A lot doesn't amaze me. The Tkachuk one was holy fuck, wow. The between the legs thing again, if you're 8 years old, you can't do that. You're not playing at the next level. So
right.
That's how easy it is for these kids. Obviously, the lacrosse goal, all these guys can do it. The difference in the NHL is you don't have the time and space. So that's the impressive part because there just is no time and space, and that's what makes it the best league in the world. But as for talent, the Clayton Kellers, the Logan Browns, guys from St. Louis that people know there, skill levels off the fucking charts.
No, and I've been on the ice with those guys since they were 8, 9 years of age. Listen, they could have played...
They were doing that shit
They could have played
time ago.
midget minor when they were peewee minor. Yeah. They were so good and so skilled. How much do you enjoy doing the radio? It sounds like you and Cooley have a genuine relationship, good friendship off the air too.
We do. The best part about it is having a co-host that you can poke fun at, argue with, and nothing's taken personal. You know, nothing. He can say anything to me. I can say anything to him. But that's the best part. The one thing about Cooley is he's so prepared. He watches all the games, and when you cover all 31 teams, we got to watch a lot of games for a lot of different markets to kind of bring it out there. You know, you can't get caught with your pants down and be okay. Well, I guess Austin Matthews is the only one that can get caught with his
underwear was on. His underwear was on.
Yeah, his underwear was on. We're all good. But no, Cooley's great. Love the show. Love working for Sirius. Very, very lucky to be able to say that I'm still involved in the game, and hopefully for a lot of years to come.
Got a couple more for you here, Barney. Is it tough keeping up with everything? And I do radio every single day too, and Andy does as well, and doing podcasts. Do you keep track of all sports? Do you watch football? I know I see some of your tweets that you do kind of throw some coin down on that, but is it tough keeping up with everything?
I hate baseball. I'm not
it's
a baseball fan. I'd say I'm a bandwagoner basketball fan. I guess I picked one of the top 3 teams, and I follow that team all year. So I'm a Lakers fan right now. I just ordered a jersey. I love football, but my team, I'm a New York Jets fan.
Have fun with that.
And we suck so fucking bad. So I'm actually thinking terrible. After 40 years of jumping ship, because we lost to Miami yesterday, and that's pretty well, you know, the going to be the death of me. So, but yeah, I follow all sports. I love golf, love football, NFL, love college football. So I follow all sports, and keeping up with hockey is just, you know, it's a daily thing. You get into a routine.
Yeah.
Usually Friday nights is our date night where we go out, because you're probably not going to talk about anything Friday night on the Monday.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Unless something crazy happens, right, or a streak. So I don't watch a lot of hockey on Fridays, but that's really the only night that I don't watch.
No, same thing here. That's date night. Friday night is date night where you don't have to pay attention. Lakers jersey. What jersey did you get, Bernie?
Oh, of course. I'm
LeBron.
a true bandwagon.
You are typical.
Number 2, 3, baby.
Typical.
And you're going to wear that. You're going to wear that around? No T-shirt underneath. Just wear it?
It's actually my girlfriend's son is a massive Golden State fan. So I'm ordering it only because they're 1 in 5.
Still? Yeah.
Curry's out. They're all gone. They're done. So it's my chance to come back at that little ass and show him, because he mocks me all the time. So coming right back at him.
Hey, before we let you go, give your kids a shout out too. Like, who's still playing? Where are they playing at now?
My daughter's a freshman. She doesn't play, but she's a freshman at Kent State in Ohio. So literally paying like $35,000 a year for a party, which is awesome. And my son was supposed to go to Penn State. He was committed to Penn State, but the school part of the equation did not play great into him starting there this year. So he went to the Southern Professional League to start. He's played 4 games, but learning how to be a pro, and it's really fun. It's fun to watch your son as he gets older. You know, he's been to Leafs training camps before, and just trying to make his way through it all. And, you know, playing against Logan Brown, growing up, the Clayton Kellers, like we talked about, all the great St. Louis 98 team that had 5 first-rounders drafted in the NHL. It's been a pretty cool ride, and hopefully a great one for him.
I bet you are a pretty good coach, man. I bet you those kids really look up to you.
Hey, he coached in the OHL with my guy Jay McKee, by the way.
Oh,
we didn't even talk about him.
I forgot about Cheese.
What was that experience? Shit. I can only imagine you guys preparing for the game.
Oh my God.
At the bar. Hang on. Does he still drive a semi-truck, by the way, or is he done doing that?
He doesn't drive the semi-truck. Yeah, you know, it was getting into problems when we were designing our power play and penalty kill on bar napkins, getting ready. All right, boys, this is what we want you to follow. No, you know what? I think both of us are hockey nuts. He's a great teacher for the young guys. He's very patient. Obviously knows his stuff. But, you know, the biggest thing, you know, is I think learning personalities as a coach, and spending the time to do the video and you know, really break down the video. And I love my time there. I love Jay. He's one of my best friends. I think he's just a tremendous human being who's having a lot of success there, and love my time there. I wouldn't go back to coaching. I don't want to ride the buses. I like talking about it on the radio a lot more. I can promise you that. But it was a great experience, I think, in doing now what I do, in breaking down games, because we play it and we do it that way, but also when you coach it, you watch the game so differently. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
The Blues paid Jay McKee a lot of money.
I had fun with Jay McKee, Barney. I think we woke up on a beach one time in Southern California with our suits on, not knowing where we were. One of those kind of nights.
I don't doubt that from the two of you one bit. And yes, Jay McKee, I remember when he signed, he left the Sabres as a free agent to go to St. Louis. And he goes, can you fucking believe that they just offered me $4 million a year to block shots?
For 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, and I was like, you better fucking run there right now, slit yourself, because that's coming off the table if they actually watch the tape.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I got one last text from Reed Lowe. I told him I was going to have you on, and he's like, I got a question for him. And he said, ask that pussy why he turned me down 17 times and not fight me. Sign Reed Lowe, and it's hard to read his text because he doesn't spell very well.
I was gonna say you must be a master. Put that in like Google Translator if you're reading from lower. Fuck. Hey, plain and simple. I was smart. Why take one more beating from? And when most of the times when I played against him, he was fucking knocking out some big boys.
He threw both, man. So. He's a big guy. He's still fighting. He's fucking huge now, still. But he throws both.
I think he's third all time in fighting majors in Blues history.
Yeah.
Like
he reminds me of that all the fucking time.
He fought like every game.
Just tell him I'll give him the line I gave everyone. I just wasn't sure if he could skate all the way down and back without falling over.
Oh.
I watched him so many times. No, but in jest, he was really tough, and I was really smart.
All right, Barney. Appreciate you coming on. You're the man. Great stories, and we'll see you soon. I'll see you up in one of these fantasy camps coming soon.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me on anytime.
Yep. Right on, big boy.
Great to talk to you. That's Matthew Barnaby here on the Cam and Strick podcast, man. He was really good, Cam.
He's unreal. Love watching him play. Just a character, entertainer.
Yeah.
Knew how to entertain. As a kid, watching that fucking guy smiling, yelling at people, I'm like, I want to be this guy. Like, he's awesome. He had the look. The dude still looks the same, by the way. Mm-hmm. He hasn't aged at all, and quite frankly, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. He still has the same hairline.
He was the poster child for a guy that you hate, but you want him on your team.
I'm watching him.
Steve Ott was a similar guy.
Yeah. Otter was.
Who plays like that now? Are there anybody that you really hate? I guess Matthew Tkachuk could be a guy that teams that Calgary play a lot that they hate. Dowdy is another
here
guy.
And there.
But who else is there?
Kadri, Marchand, of course. See what he did the other night.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's remember what's his name? John Sim from the Flyers.
Oh yeah,
Avery. Fucking crazy.
You know who used to be a guy everyone hated, and he's calmed down now. And he's one of the best players in the history of the game. But Sidney Crosby, everyone hated Crosby.
They hated him, man. He was whiny a little bit here and there, and he'd whack you behind the whistle. He actually cross-checked me in the neck one time and took a 4-minute penalty in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I pissed him off enough and it's like my second shift of the game in the second period, and he gets a 4-minute penalty on me back in the day. I was pretty proud of that, Andy.
The thing about Matthew Barnaby, he played in an era where everybody had heavyweights, but every team also had the middleweights.
Yeah.
And so there was room for him to do his thing, but he always played with somebody who was probably considered the heavyweight as well, even though he'd fight some of those heavies.
Well, now at the end of his career, he said when he played for the Rangers and Pitt, he was the only guy.
Yeah, and that's when things started changing a little bit.
Yeah, the fly solo.
Yeah, he did say that. It's different when all of a sudden he's in Tampa Bay, when he's in, with some of these other teams. You mentioned the Rangers,
And then you got Peter Rell knocking on your door every other night because he's playing for Florida. Like shit like that. Now you're like, okay, Peter Rell's 6'7", and he can knock me out at any point. Like, that changes your mindset a little bit.
Did you always want to be a player or always want to be a fighter in the NHL? Like when you envision yourself playing in the NHL, did you envision yourself scoring goals or fighting?
I envisioned myself being a hitter, and I never just turned it on. Like, this is how I was as a kid, and that's how I kind of formed into a player.
Did you have trouble sleeping, have trouble taking naps?
Fuck yes.
Really?
Oh my god.
Like the anxiety,
my, are you kidding?
Well, I didn't know if you'd have that or not.
Sweating.
Like, I know you have that now. I didn't know if you had that during your playing days.
I'm good now. What do I get? Worry about you? I mean, no. But no, God, my life is so easy now compared to just. I know I was making great money. But
who made you nervous, honestly?
McGrattan to Orr to Brash to everybody. Anybody you fought makes you nervous because the guys I was fighting could knock you out.
Okay, but let me ask you this. You played with Eric Bolton, right? He was considered a tough guy. So awesome. How would you guys divvy it up? DJ King here in St. Louis?
Yeah, I just fought. We never did.
You didn't do that.
I got him. You got him. What? It doesn't. Nah,
it didn't work like that.
Sometimes I'm like, who do you want? You know,
really.
Even when I was playing with Winchester, he'd know it. I'd get the big boy, but you know, Kinger and I only played a couple times together because I was kind of taking his spot, and then Reaver, the same thing with me. You know, we didn't play much together because he was taking my job.
I remember talking to you, by the way, at the end of the season, being like, "Hey, listen, the Blues are going to re-sign you, and they're going to let DJ King."
I remember that. I think Al had a lot to do with that too. He had a big decision. I saw his son the other day.
He probably did. I think the fact that you were from St. Louis, I think, worked in your advantage there, Cam.
I was an entertainer. I entertained. Kinger could beat big boys up better than I could, but I was a hitter.
But you're another example of that too, because like I didn't really like the way you went about your business all the time in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't watch every New Jersey game. I knew who you were. Obviously, knew who you were for a long time, even before you came into the National Hockey League. But your first game back in St. Louis, we talked about that. But then every player is kind of misunderstood. Steve Ott's a perfect example because he and I have a great relationship even today. And when he played here in St. Louis, got to know him really well. I hated that dude. I thought he was an absolute joke. I mean, some of the stuff he would do even in preseason games, I'm like, what is your problem?
I know.
Like, just get through the preseason game.
He can't help himself.
But then, you know what? You learn to respect guys. And I truly do have the utmost respect for guys who played your role, man. I mean, the guys before you, the guys who are still trying to do it now, because it's got to be one of the most difficult jobs in all of sport, not just in hockey, but in all of sports.
It is. It is absolutely. But you know what? It set me up for look at our life now. Like we got like even Barney. Like he could get a job anywhere once.
You normally ask everybody who comes on who was a tough guy. He always has the one question, Jamie, where he always says, "How's the head? How's the head?
How's the head?
You didn't ask him. You didn't ask him
how's your fucking
was.
head. Is your memory like mine? I can't remember shit. Is it because of
really?
No, I'm bad. Damn.
Like what do you forget? Like where your keys are?
Where are we right now, by the way?
We're at the normal brand.
Oh
here,
yeah, I can't remember that. No. Short term's okay. Long term's tough.
Really? Are you worried about that?
Nah. It's not that bad, and it could be from multiple things too. So I don't know if it's from getting hit in the head or.
Why are you blaming fighting and blaming hockey?
I'm
not
blaming anything. Fucking shut up. I don't blame anything. Look, the reason why I get to sit here and have an unbelievable job and go on the radio for an hour a day to talk about whatever is because of what I did. And so it's like, man, it set me up for life in St. Louis.
Yeah. What would you be doing if you didn't play in the NHL?
Probably be a military.
Really?
Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
I mean, it's an easy thing to say. Any fucking dipshit can say, "Oh, I'll be in the military." You know, probably wouldn't pass the drug test for one, but the other time, I probably would be in the military.
Barnaby didn't like Dominik Hasek, which I find really interesting. I mean, people will find that interesting.
I could picture him being a fucking weirdo, though.
Oh my god!
I can picture him being a fucking weirdo.
Give me somebody you didn't like.
I liked a lot of if I didn't get along with you, it's probably because I was a little too loud and you just didn't understand my humor.
Was there a guy you didn't get along with?
Not really.
Any veteran guys?
I'm trying to think of something to make this fucking entertaining, but I don't want to call anybody out because I honestly Eric Brewer got pissed at me a couple times.
Yeah, but he's cool though. He's funny.
He's funny. He's kind of nerdy.
He's
kind of nerdy. Let's be honest here. But I think I was a little too much for him at times. I was going through some weird times here in St. Louis.
So was he.
I was living two different lives.
He was going through some weird times.
Oh, well, fuck. He was making. My saying is like I had my teammates, and then I had a different life outside.
What was your other life?
Fucking being from here, and your buddies from school, and your family.
You want to be a guest on the podcast?
I mean,
tell us about your other life. I'm curious about your other life.
What did I just say? You play in your hometown. It's not just hanging out with your teammates all day. I mean, you're in with your buddies. You have just so many different things going on, and I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Did a team ever call you in and say, "Cam, what's going on?"
Oh yeah.
Did they?
Oh, Lou did.
What about St. Louis?
Nah.
Okay.
No, I was good. No, I showed up it was never late for anything.
Yeah.
I burned both ends like no other, but I fucking would be there. Even if I felt like shit, I'd hold it in and I'd just suck it up and no one even knew.
Who's the guy that plays right now that you'd love to fight right now? You just don't really like the way he goes about his business. People think he's tough, but maybe he's not that tough.
I'd fight Reaver, of course, and just have a good one with him. I know he doesn't like to go long anymore. He just fought Lowry the other day.
Yeah. Is he
getting
too confident in his fights? The way he's approaching it?
Yeah, because they're not good. It's not like he's not crushing guys anymore.
The way he drops the glove, he knows he's about to beat the crap out of somebody. But
he didn't.
He didn't against Lowry. That's got to be a little embarrassing, if it doesn't go your way.
No, but Lowry's a big boy. No. See, that's the thing with Reaver now is you're the biggest heavyweight. And you're head over heels from everybody
People
else.
expect him to beat the crap out of everybody.
No one's expecting me to fuck. So if I go in there and go for 2 minutes, like you won the fight.
I disagree. I think people would expect you to do fine.
No, I agree with that, but not against the big boys.
Well, who's the big boys? You fought tougher guys than Ryan Reeves, didn't you?
Totally. But. So my point is with him, I think that subconsciously he's like, I better not I better not be embarrassed. It's not like I'm worried about getting hurt. I'm worried about being embarrassed more than anything.
Although Ryan Reeves talked about how he split open Brian McGrattan. So he did fight some of the heavies.
No, he absolutely did. Yeah, he absolutely did. They're just not around anymore.
No, they're not around.
So he needs to kill everybody he fights, or else it's embarrassing for him.
You a Prober fan?
God, yeah, dude.
Did you watch his documentary?
Yeah, of course. How can you not?
Highly recommend that, by the way. I don't know where they get all this video.
I know. Tons of video. God, when he got caught in Windsor, he had enough blow to fucking lit up a nightclub.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like so much. Thousands of dollars worth.
Well, this is good, man.
He was partying.
We'll have another one for you next week.
Right.
We should remind people that we do these 5-minute majors. Explain what these are.
Well, we're just going to give you an update on, of course, St. Louis Blues and around the NHL. There's so much shit going on.
People have asked for that. They want more Blues content. This is where you can get the Blues content.
5-minute major. Check it out. Cam and Strick podcast, of course. We're up on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Yeah. Cam Jansen 25 Twitter. What's your Twitter account? I keep fucking forgetting.
It's at Andy Strickland. It's not that hard.
Sorry.
Jesus.
I told you my memory's fucked up. At Andy Strickland, of course, Facebook pages and all that, and Instagram, Cam_Jansen.
And we try to get this out on game days. Not every game day, but especially when it warrants it. Yeah. And you can expect it somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock, on a 7 o'clock start time, just to kind of help preview the game and get you pumped up and amped up and let you know what you should know, what you should look out for in that upcoming game. So that's how we roll with that.
Cool.
All right, Cam, great stuff today, man. Matthew Barnaby was great. Enjoy the podcast. We'll do it again next week.